Hello, you're watching World Talks on TVP World. My name is Sascha Fahrbach. In terms of using medium-range ballistic missiles, this poses the same challenge for all: Warsaw, Bucharest, Budapest, and for many other capitals as well. President Volodymyr Zelensky said in a post on X, Russia's Oreshnik hypersonic missile attack on Lviv early Friday morning, part of a broader barrage that also struck Kyiv and critical infrastructure, has heightened concerns across Europe about regional security and the limits of collective defense. Joining us now to discuss the latest developments is Oleksiy Goncharenko, Member of Parliament, Ukraine for European Solidarity. Good to have you back on TVP World.
Good morning.
Oleksiy, I want to begin with what we know so far. I mean, this is the second use of this hypersonic missile. It was very close also to the borders of the European Union. Do you think that was deliberate, or was this another calculation on the part of the Kremlin?
No, definitely it was a signal to Europe, to United States, and that's why Russia chose Lviv as an aim, because Lviv is very close to Polish border, and definitely it's the signal to Poland and other European countries. And the signal is that it took, I don't remember, 12, 13 minutes for this missile to hit Lviv, so it would take just 1 minute plus to hit Warsaw, or 3-4 minutes plus to hit Berlin or Paris or London. So the message is clear. But why Russia did it now? I think the most concern, and I mean Russia is super angry, but they can't do anything against the United States of America. They are very angry with the loss of Venezuela regime, which was very close to Russia, their ally, Maduro. They are very angry with the United States seizing Russian tankers in the world ocean. And yesterday Trump said, we seized a Russian tanker and Russia did nothing. But Russia did something. They really did nothing to United States, and they are afraid of United States. But instead of this, they attacked Kyiv and Lviv, killed people, made Ukrainians to be without heating and electricity in a very harsh winter, froze. So that's as always. So Russia is too weak to respond to United States. Instead of this, they're capable enough to kill more Ukrainian civilians and to try to threaten Europe.
Mm-hmm. And I think just put it briefly into context for us. I mean, what makes this hypersonic missile so dangerous as opposed to other things that the Russians have in their arsenal? Is this also part of the messaging here? Because I think it's also, tell us a bit more about why this particular piece of hardware is so sinister.
Because this missile entered the atmosphere over Ukraine with a speed 13,000 kilometers per hour, which is really like very, very quick. Also, this ballistic missile was without warhead, but this warhead for which it is designed for is a nuclear warhead. So again, it's also nuclear threatening, and it's a saber rattling from Russia. That's their message, and that's why this second use of this missile is really important. It's a new step of escalation from Russia.
Mm-hmm. And also, I think this is important. President Zelensky has warned as well. He said this on X. I read out the statement that this is not just a threat for Ukraine. This is something that should be taken seriously by European capitals. It's a threat for Warsaw, Bucharest, you name it. Do you think that the Europeans will heed President Zelensky's warning? Do you think they'll now do more to help with missile defense and all this?
I hope so. I think it's the European leaders don't need explanation and translation, not from President Zelensky, not from me, to understand this signal from Russia. It's absolutely clear signal. So I hope that European response will be really invest in efforts and resources in security of European countries and in common security of Europe. If Europe will not unite, and if Europe will not be strong, we see the world, we see what's happening, and we understand that in this case, Europe will be victim. So I don't want Europe to be victim as Ukraine is today. I think we need to take lessons from everything what had happened during last years, and we need to build our common security together, European countries, Ukraine, because Ukraine today has the strongest army in Europe because of the war. It's a tragedy that we have, but one of the consequences is that we have a strong army, and Europe has a strong economy and technologies and everything else. So we need to, and we match one another. So we need to unite our efforts in order to be strong enough to survive.
Mm-hmm. I want to talk also about a little bit more of the significance of the strike of this missile. I mean, a lot has happened these last days. Just also coming back from that summit in Paris, really that declaration where you have the idea that there would be potentially British and French peacekeepers that would be deployed in Ukraine if there's a ceasefire achieved. Now we have this missile strike in the west of the country. Putin has said that NATO troops, any kind of NATO troops, would be legitimate targets. Is this also response to that? I mean, there's different layers to it, but how do you think that's being interpreted right now by European capitals?
Absolutely. As I told you, that this is the threat towards Europe, towards Europeans. And definitely Putin, he doesn't want to see any security guarantees to Ukraine. Why? Because he wants to wipe off Ukraine from the map of the world. His ultimate goal hasn't been changed. That's something we need to remember. That's why, I mean, in other case, why would Putin be so against deploying troops in Ukraine? What is the problem if there will be some troops here, European or other countries? But he is really very much against of this. Why? Because he plans to continue his aggression, even if now he thinks, even if now he will be, because he has no really big successes on the battlefield. During the last year, all Russian successes are several ruined towns in the eastern part of Ukraine. No major breakthroughs. So, but he thinks that even if now he will need to stop, for him it will be just a pause, then to continue his aggression against Ukraine for next aggression against already European countries. He's not going to stop. That's why these guarantees are so important, not just for Ukraine, but in general for security of Europe.
Mm-hmm. I mean, we have certain diplomatic responses. I mean, the UK, France, Germany have condemned this missile. We mentioned also as well, this is also signaling between the United States, the US, Russia being angry at the United States, seizing those tankers, looking at Venezuela. But also, I mean, what kind of, if anything, response could we now expect from the United States in all this? Do you think Donald Trump will also signal something now as a response to this? I mean, unfortunately, we've had many barrages of missiles in Ukraine almost daily, really. Is this going to elicit some kind of response from the United States?
I think that Russia is afraid of the United States, and the best answer will be more pressure. Sorry, excuse me. Yeah, so the best answer, thank you. The best answer will be more pressure from United States on Putin. And by the way, I should tell you that I see recently is after successful operation in Venezuela, I see that United States are really increasing this pressure, seizing Russian tankers. Then Trump said that he gave a green light to the draft, to the bill of Senators Graham and Blumenthal about really nuclear sanctions, I mean, very powerful sanctions against Russia. So we see this pressure, and this is very good. And definitely Russia tries also to show to the United States that they have something in their pocket, some aces in their pocket. But in reality, they can't do anything against the United States. So if United States will continue to increase pressure, I think we have a real chance for peace. But what is important, these security guarantees, which we spoke with you about recently right now, because if there will be no, then it will be just a pause. But we want not to have just a ceasefire. We want to end the war for many years ahead.
We spoke about, and you mentioned that there should be more pressure from the United States. I mean, you also talked about these higher sanctions. We're looking at 500% against anyone trading with Russian gas or oil. At the same time, just as you said, Graham's bill for this, greenlit by the president, but then Trump said, I think on Thursday in an interview to Fox, that he doesn't want to use them, but he's on board. Do you think this kind of signaling now, firing this kind of missile, is that the push that he needs to say that he will actually go ahead with these harsher sanctions?
I think, yes. I think this bill will give him the right. It will not be his obligation to impose these sanctions, but it will give right to President Trump to impose this sanction any moment he will need it and he will find it appropriate. So I think this is part of pressure on Putin. And if Putin will not understand this, I think Trump can implement these sanctions. We can tell, I mean, Trump is controversial for many people, but one thing we can say for sure, that President Trump can act and he can make bold steps if he wants to. So here, I hope that will help us to achieve peace, and we will be very thankful to President Trump for this, if he will help us to achieve peace.
Yeah. And also, I mean, this comes amid broader strikes across Ukraine. Give us briefly, just before we close, an idea of how Ukrainians are dealing with this. I mean, it's a tough, cold winter. How are Ukrainians preparing now and being ready against as much as energy infrastructure is hit during these attacks?
It's hard time. Now, hundreds of thousands of Ukrainians, first of all in Kyiv, in the capital, are without electricity, heating, some without running water. And now it is really very cold already. It's a real winter, finally, here in Ukraine. So it's hard. But we will survive. We don't have any other chance.
All right. So that continues and just speaks about the strength of Ukrainians. Look, thank you so much for all those insights as ever.
Thank you very much.
Goncharenko, thank you. And thank you for watching. That concludes World Talks, but stay right here on TVP World for more news and commentary.